Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to, I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I'm back with another promised tactical video. This time out, it is the science of big damage, as brought to you with the massive guns that you get on the 183, and to a lesser extent, but still absolutely ginormous, the Jagdpanzer E100. And I want to talk particularly about movement and the way it relates to damage. A lot of people on maps like this, Mines and Dead Rail in particular, will sit in the back corner of a spawn come hell or high water, but it's really not the way to go. Once people are aware of a gun like this and its position, they will tend to just ignore that gun. They will know it's there and they will not let it get a shot. And I see so many battles where people sitting at the back, not moving until it's well and truly too late. And at times that may well be your best course. But there's a couple of rules I run with when I'm driving tanks like this. Now you can see we've taken the hill on Mines. We've actually pushed the front line, which has pushed the Reds back behind the crest of that hill, meaning there will be no targets until everyone up there is either dead on my team or the Reds YOLO, which is exceptionally unlikely. So I'm moving, and I moved early because I recognised that fact straight away, and that's just something that I've come to understand from experience. And the best thing you can do in situations like this is move to cover. Move to cover that has a field of view of a flank and allows you to push down that flank and eventually come out behind them and put shots in them, or will conversely show you targets that are not there, at the back. And that's what I've done, and it's allowed me to get shots now into that 183, which I've nutted, and that IS-8, which I've also nutted. So I've basically ammo racked a Type 61. I've put 2 full HES shots into 183 and an IS-8, and I've probably done about, over 4k damage right there. And that's pretty solid. We've still got a couple of tanks left to kill, and I can't see them. But the key, and the reason I use this video, because the 183 is spectacularly good at hitting with 4 or 5 shots and putting up massive numbers, despite the fact that you've only really hit with 4 or 5 shots, as you can see there, 1400 damage. I use this video to illustrate the fact that just because you've got a big gun does not mean you need to sit still at the back. There are situations where shots will dry up, and the longer you wait for shots to come and your team gets attrited, you're basically letting your team fight a tank down the entire time. Now, there are other situations where you don't want to move, where there is simply no reason to move. This is a spot you will probably see a lot more tanks in after this video on Himmelsdorf. It's an elevated spot at the rear, and it's just high enough and just far enough back that if you get a nice reconnaissance screen in front of you, and by that I mean a bunch of tanks who are actually spotting targets for you, you can get excellent shots off from up here, which is what we're going to do. And at one point during this map, you're going to see one of our team members criticize me, say like 183, what the F, whatever. If you're in a tank like this and there are shots in front of you, that's great. Don't move, because that's the best possible use of your tank in the game. You are a huge alpha dog beast. If you have shots constantly popping in front of you, then you're doing the right thing. At no point in time should you be thinking, I better move because some bloke will probably think I'm a coward. And I'm not moving even though I'm spotted, because there's no one there who's got a shot at me. There's 4 tanks in front of me and 1 on the left. That Waffenträger you can see over there, and I've now reset the camo. They've moved up. The guy on the left has got Bolshe, so we're going to put a shot into him. And there you go. And I'm still not moving because I'm still getting shots. I've had a couple of really good full hit point shots into that Leo and into that T-54. And if I were to move now, all I'd be doing, and this is a very unlucky shot, that's just the nature of the beast when you're driving a tank like this. The RNG can be absolutely scintillatingly bad. That hit the gun barrel of the waffle tractor. And now we're in a tough spot, and the Object 140 on our team is going to have a go at me. And mind you, I've been firing very, very nearly on the reload, and I should have heshed this shot, and it would have killed the IS-8. But anyway, I digress. And there's me telling the 140 what you want me in the front line. And then I don't have time because Rich is dead. And I'm waiting at the back here. And what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for these three guys to move up. Give me a shot because I can kill both those guys with one hit. I'm going to get the IS-7 and then I'm going to move. And the waffle tractor who's moving up on my right, you're going to see in a second, he overstays his welcome. He thinks he can get another shot in without me being ready to go, and that's a fatal mistake. So the difference between those two games, I'm going to do a little less damage in this game than I did in the Mines game. But I'm going to Kolobanov, and I'm going to carry, and that's fine. But the difference is that there was targets in front of me here. So I wasn't camping without a purpose. If I had sat in the back corner of Mines, not getting a shot, and just watching, it would have been camping completely without a purpose. And we're going to watch one more game after this, a Jagdpanzer E100 game, in which there is a definite balance between the two. And a lot of it's got to do with looking at your actual team makeup. The team makeup of this team was absolutely ideal for this because there's quite a few mediums. They pushed down. Rich pushed down as well, and he held a line there for me. And I got to fire pretty much untouched until the final three tanks were left. And I did plenty of damage and utilised my tank quite well. I don't have any qualms whatsoever about the way I played that game. And the 140 says okay at the end because he's obviously a fan of winning. And winning is a big cure for any slight issues you might have. So Kolobanov, nearly 5k, 5 kills. Excellent. And I think that was a very good way of playing that match. There were shots on offer. I took shots. I set myself up in position to be successful. And that's what the tank does. It doesn't have that real ability to be a frontline tank. Jagdpanzer 100, that's not quite the case. Now, I always go top here, but however, this time I'm going to do something a little bit different because we don't have a medium. We don't have a light tank. There is no chance for us to go to the top. The rest of the team's decided they're going town and I'm going to support them. I'm going to knock these trees over and use them as a hide or a blind, as they say in the hunting classics. Turn around and there's a 62A and a 140 on the red team. I'm going to set myself up for this shot. But once I take the shot, and the 62A will pop, once I take the shot, I won't sit still. Once I take the shot, I'm going to make a decision and I'm going to move because you can't sit there waiting all the time. Every once in a while, you have to get off your ass and go and find the damage. And that's even more important to remember. If the shot isn't there, if there's no targets in front of you, then you need to move. And there he goes. Like clockwork, that 62A pops out. We pump him. We move back because he's going to want to get shots into me. And I want to reset my camo before I do anything else. And I'm angling very, very steeply. You can see there. And he's off the radar. Pops up again to take another shot. And he cops one as well. Now, there's a waffle tractor on my left. I'm not a big fan of the waffle tractor. I have not reviewed it yet, but the gun seems to be quite broken. Anyway, it's probably not a topic for this. He's behind that hill. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to sit there while the whole team does whatever they're doing on the left. I'm going to push forward and try and get to that 62A. Now, we haven't seen the Object 140 yet, and that's important. I'm thinking he's either sniping from the middle, and that's why I'm staying as close as I can to that red line there. But there he is, and I've spotted him up, and sure enough, he is completely oblivious to me being here. There we go. That'll set his mind at ease. And I'm now angling to that Object 140. And the waffle tractor takes him out. Now, I'm still pretty certain this T62A is up the top above me. So I'm going to push to him again. I've got good cover. The key thing here you're going to note is when I go over the top of this hill, I'm not pointing at where the 62A is. I put the reticle at exactly where the 62A is going to be because I know he's going to be pushing and he's going to be trying to get away, and I can't possibly catch him in this thing. So you see where the reticle is going? It's not going to where he is, and I fire as soon as those two lines cross and intersect. So we're down to 4 each, but we've got 2 guys in town and me and the waffle tractor, who's done a fairly good job as well. We started off at the back. We've taken 3 shots. All have connected. We've killed 1 tank. We've done over 2,000 damage, I'd suggest, so far. And we've pushed as much as is practical. So there's now myself and the waffle tractor left. We're going to clear this IS-8 out. He is well out of it. Now we're in a tough spot though, because there's a lot of full hit point tanks just there, or very nearly full hit point tanks. And this IS-8 on my left is going to do the right thing. He's going to push up on my left and put me in a situation where I can't really ignore him. A bit of RNG never hurts, and that tortoise and I both trade lovely bits of RNG. Take one from the IS-8, and I'm back behind. Now, there's something that I do a lot of when I'm in a situation where there's a tank and I'm in a slow tank, a big heavy tank, and they're trying to get to me. And this tortoise has left himself in a horrible position. There's not much I can do there. If I push down, I'm going to be vulnerable from the left and the right. He's just going to have to pay the price for poor positional play. If I'm in a situation where there is more than 1 tank in front of me, or there is a tank in front of me that is going to run away from me as I push forward towards it in a big heavy tank like a Jagdpanzer E100 or an E100 or a T95 or anything like that, there is something you can do which a lot of people don't realize, and that is drive towards them in a manner that makes them reverse. If you're in a tank that is very slow, you want to minimize the speed of the other team. So I'm going to drive towards the tortoise because he's facing my direction, which means he will not be able to escape by reversing. And there's now 2 IS-8s who are very, very nimble tanks. And I'm going to drive towards this IS-8 over here on the left. I'm going to let my camo set here first. And as soon as it happens, and you're going to see me do this twice in this game. Right, camo set, I'm going because I'm thinking the IS-8 on my right, if I was him, I'd be clearing out around to the right so that I can put shots in the back. But I'm going to drive towards this IS-8, so he has to reverse to get away. And no matter the fact that he can do 50 kilometers an hour forward, backwards, he's no faster than I am going forwards. And there's the other IS-8, exactly as I thought he would be. Now we've driven not a long way in this game, but for this tank, it's a lot of movement. It is not a particularly strong tank in terms of mobility. And we're doing the same thing here. We've let camo reset, and then we're driving towards that IS-8. Now I know he's not on my left because I would have proximity spotted him as I drove past those buildings. And I know he hasn't gone through the cap circle because no cap numbers have counted off. So he must be retreating back towards his spawn. So with that in mind, I'm going to drive straight towards his respawn area again, because I'm nearly certain that he's trying to go for a draw. And there he is. Now remember what I talked about. We are going to drive at him in reverse and make him reverse. We are not going to follow him around while he goes forward and we go forward, because that's counterproductive. And this is something you need to be doing anytime you've got an enemy on the other side of an obstacle like a building. Because when you push forward to them, going your faster speed, and when they're reversing going their slower speed, the maths is quite simple. You're going to have a lot better time of actually catching them. And there's our 5th kill and our 2nd Kolobanov. And we actually get a mastery for this one, even though it's a shade under 5,000 damage. I'm a big fan of the Jagdpanzer E100. It's such a tough tank. I actually prefer it to the 183. It can't knock out the 5 to 6k quite as easily as the 183 does it, which does it very easily. But you can get steel walls in this. You can duck a lot of shots, and it intimidates the hell out of the opposition, out of the red guys. So there you go, guys. A couple of things to take away from this. We're already talking about every time you get spotted, look at your radar and check out where the enemy is in relationship to you on the map. And you should be doing that now after that recent tactical video we put out. In this one, talking about big derpy tanks who camp. If you're the guy who sits on the hill at dead rail with no targets in front of you and no spotters, or you're the guy on mines who sits on the back hills with no targets and no spotters, this is aimed directly at you. Once you run out of targets, once the targets are 0 and zip and nada, you need to get off your ass and go and find some. Otherwise, you'll be the guy who dies at the end with everyone yelling at you, calling you a coward. And I don't mind that particularly if you've done it with targets in front of you and you're doing damage. But those days of people being bad and just relying on people being stupid at tier 4, 5, and 6 are gone. When you get to tier X, you may find poor play, but you'll very rarely find people who last the first couple of minutes of the game like that. Once everyone who's not good enough has died and everyone else is sitting there at the back waiting for you to move forward, or waiting for someone to do something wrong, or waiting for someone to make a mistake, that's when you've got to pack up your tent, get moving, and generally move to a flank. Do it along a zone line where someone can't get you. You saw me do it in the Jagdpanzer E100 there. You saw me do it in the first map in the 183. Do it along a zone line so that if you do get circled as one of these big, heavy, immobile tanks, it's a lot easier to squeeze them off against that zone line. And it also means that you're leveraging off guys in the middle of the map. So for instance, you've got heavies or mines or lights or mediums who've taken the hill. Anyone that pops up in front of you is more than likely going to be visible to them as well as you, and you can get them in a crossfire. Like I did there, I pushed that zone line in the Jagdpanzer E100, found that 140. The waffle tractor nutted him as well, and Bob's your mother's brother. So boom goes the dynamite, humans. I'll try my very, very best not to cough right now. If you watched the live stream last night, you'd know I am still nowhere near 100%, but we are in fact getting there, which is a lovely thing. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for staying passionate about the game, about the channel. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a Patreon sponsor, that would be wonderful as well. Until next time, team, stay safe on the battlefield.